Hi everyone, I'm Huub Hildenbrand. Thanks for tuning into my channel, Huub Hildenbrand Guitar Academia. Today we have lesson 2 of a course, a complete workout on the topic of the 43 four-note structures. And in this video I show you the different ways how to play a four-note structure in a melodic way, as an arpeggio. That's what I just did for one arpeggio, G minor with A. Like on, I have different, actually like different pathways on the fretboard for a four-note arpeggio, and this will be covered in this lesson. Okay, so let's get right into the endless ocean of music. For this lesson there's also a PDF file. Just go down in the description below. There you can download it from my website guitar-academia.com, and there you find 10 points, 10 different ways how to play a four-note structure on the fretboard. And I call this different pathways because a long time ago, actually, I thought about this is like a kind of a city, or like a kind of a garden, or whatever, and you can start from any point and just go through it. You can go in this direction and then change to the next string, and or you can go like this. So there are a lot of pathways which lead you from this side to this side, or vice versa. And I collected like 10 different ways how to play them. Different pathways for these four-note structures. And this we will discuss in this lesson. And then in lesson 5 and 6, we have like a lot of practicing patterns, sequences. And especially in 6, we have an interesting way how we can music with these four-note structures, like a very great way how to practice them musically. Okay, so let's go through these different ways on this page. First is single string, and it's written there, single string, and on the right side you find in brackets you find a 6. That means you have 6 possibilities of single strings. Of course, you have just 6 strings. So, and I will demonstrate these different forms with this four-note structure. I started this lesson with G minor and an added A. So we have G minor, G, B flat D, and we have an added A. So it's like G minor 9s. This would be like the that's a very beautiful sound actually, and I think not many of us really play this structure as an arpeggio, because mostly we sing in triads or 7th chords, for example, but there are some great other arpeggios, forms and structures you can arpeggiate in your solo or composition. Okay, so these 6 possibilities. I take this chord, but if you're not really not so advanced, you might want to first download this PDF we talked in the last lesson, which covers all the 7th chords. Okay, like C major 7, C minor 7, and all these these seventh chords, because they are really basic. They are really, this is like something you have to know, and these others are more like you can choose. You can take them in your playing, but you don't have to, of course. But I will demonstrate the lesson today with picking maybe a bit more unusual or interesting 4-note structure, so you also get a different idea about the whole concept here. But what I'm discussing here for this G minor with an A 4-note structure, you can just transfer or just do with a 7th chord. So if you didn't really practice 7th chord arpeggios, it's maybe better to take this, what you learned today, but practice this with the 7th chord structures. That would be more wise, maybe. Okay, so single string. That means we play just these 4 notes, G, A, B flat, D, on one string. And then we start all over. G, A, B flat, and we always go as high as possible from as low as possible. So we go from B flat, A, G, D, B flat, A, G. So that's the whole range. We can play this 4-note structure. Then we have the A string, the D string, the G string, the B string. I can't play a G here because my frets aren't there here. And we have the high E string. A good way to practice them is also to just go up and then go down the next string. And then up the next string. Then you are more forced to think and to really know your notes, because if you just play an arpeggio upwards and then downwards, you maybe downwards play just the notes you learned before. So you have to really start from a different note and maybe first move down. So if you do this like up the E string, down the A string, up the D string, down the G string, up the B string, down the E string, and then you can repeat the whole thing by moving first down the low E string or something. I mean, it's not strict. It's just just different ways to learn this sound and to learn the notes on the guitar. It's also a byproduct of this cool byproduct of this practice. Okay. The next is the open position. It's not every structure has an open position. Open position means you use your open strings, so you're mainly in this position here. And whenever you have a possibility of using an open string, you use an open string. So I have actually 3 here. I can play G, A as an open string, B, D as an open string, G as an open string, A, B flat, D, G. So I have so the open position actually gives you all possibilities of open strings. So it's a good idea to just check this open position that you're sure, okay, these are my strings which are open and which will fit in this 4-note structure. That's also a good idea. Of course, an open position is always restricted to this one transposition of the structure. So you have G minor with an added second, you have 3 different open strings. But if you have like F minor with an added second, you just have one open string. It's just the G, the second. Okay, so this is the open position. Then we have, I learned this from Mick Goodrick's book, Advancing Guitarist. Great book, you should really check it out. if you're more interested in interesting and very inspiring things which you not find in another book, and it's actually really great written, and he has a great sense of humor also, and he really knows what he's talking about. These 12 positions, maybe I have to cover them actually in a different lesson. I'll just go through this quick now. A position actually is defined by having one finger, the first finger in the 3rd fret, the 2nd in the 4th, the 3rd in the 5th, and the 4th in the 6th fret. And this is my 3rd position because the first finger is in the 3rd fret. But since I also can stretch the first finger, and I also can stretch the 4th finger, but never 2 and 3, actually my position is defined by these 2 fingers. So I can say the 2nd finger is in the 4th fret, okay, so then I'm in the 3rd position. Because in the 3rd position I also can play this note. And a strict position means that I just stay for the whole thing in one position. So in this case, yeah. Sorry. Sounds wrong. Maybe I have to tune my ears. Okay, so I play it again. Okay, so this is 3rd position, and this is a G minor with an A. But I also can switch to the 4th position and play the same thing, same notes. So G, I have to stretch my first finger, that's still the 4th position. And then I play all the different. I keep my hand very strict in this 4th position. Next position, 5th position. Okay, 6th position. I can do this. Seventh position. 8th position. 8th position, I don't have this. Okay. It's actually a lot of thinking. Ninth position would be here. 10. There's 10. 11. 12. 13. Okay, that's something you can just practice, just go through these different forms and really try to stay in this position and finding where are the notes, which fingers you have to use for in this position with this 4-note structure. But for myself, I also don't know any guitarist who really practice these 12 positions. But it's actually quite a challenge, and it's a good way of practicing notes and also when you played all the 12 positions through, you actually have every possible fingering of every possible note. actually it's in a way you have you played all possibilities, because later on when you play anything, when I play an G with my fourth finger, and then with my first finger I play an A, I'm in the fifth position. If I play a B flat here with my second finger, I'm in the 10th position. So you are always in a position, always in one of the 12 strict positions, you can say. So it's a good way of practicing, and also I used it very much for finding these 5 areas which are coming now, because if you have these 12 positions, you have all the possibilities which I liked to write down, and then find out the areas which are really cool in the hand, and then out of these areas I extracted these 5 areas. So very often you find these 5 positions for scales and for arpeggios and so in books, and they are not. It's not like a very strict system. It's actually more. It also has to do with the player and how you think as a player, and what feels good in your hands. So it's a good idea to come up with these 5 positions yourself, in a way. I mean, I did the job for you in these PDF files, and the 6 families. You find all these areas. So you can just practice them like they are there. But later on you can check also these 12 positions. And find out maybe there are other fingerings which suiting you better. Okay, we come now to these 5 areas. And 5 areas, as I said, it's sometimes there are 5, sometimes there are 4, sometimes there are 6. It really depends how many good ways you find on the fretboard as how to put these 4 different notes as arpeggios on the fretboard. But one very important thing, like a strict rule I try to follow here, is that if I put all these positions, these 5 positions, or 5 areas together, every note on every string of this 4-note structure must be present in a way. So you see in the first diagram, you see the whole fretboard with all the notes, and if you go through these positions and you always erase the notes in the fretboard diagram which are in the positions, at the end there should be no notes left. So there's no note on the fretboard not covered in 1 or 2 positions of areas. Okay, I go through these areas, and of course in this PDF file, in this case it's transposed. It's C minor over D, so C minor with an added major second with a D, and but I start from G, because of course you have a lot of other options. I mean, the C minor over D is just to have the structure named in a certain, in a clear way. But it's meant to play everywhere, because also these areas you will never find open strings. They are always possible to transpose, to just shift fret down or up. So I will start with 1 here, and these areas are always analyzed already by function. So you have a 1, that's a root, then you have a 2, major second, and then you have a flat 3, a minor third, and then you have the 5th, and so on. And so you have this position. And remember, these areas are not the strict 12 positions. So my fingering is not really fixed. So I can, for example, I can play like this. But I can also play like this. I can use my first finger, or I can play. Yeah, I'm not really thinking so much about it. I just take the finger which comes up first in my mind, and then I use it. But you can think about these different alternate fingerings, and you can also restrict yourself to one possibility and then really practice that. But of course, later on, you don't play like, usually you don't play arpeggios up and down. You know, in music, you mix the notes. You know, you just play these notes melodically and not just up and down. This would be a bit boring. Okay, so this is my first area. Then the next area is this one. And here on this note, you see that this tone is in brackets. And brackets means it's optional. So you can go, can stretch for that note, but you don't have to. That's already, that's the area. It also falls together with the exact fifth position, strict position. But you can go there. It's a nice sound. It's a nice stretch. It makes musical sense. So that's why it's also mentioned there. In brackets means optional. Okay, we come to the next. It's this one. And there we have something in this, not round, but like this kind of brackets. So instead of, we can also play. So we can play the B flat here, but we can also play it here. So we have two possibilities. And because we have two very good working possibilities, I put these certain kinds of brackets there that always means it's an alternate fingering. So in round brackets you have optional fingering, and these other brackets they mean alternate fingering. And sometimes you also have another sign, and this sign is just an X. And an X means you don't play on the string. For example, if I have A diminished with an added fourth, for example, I have A, C, E flat, and I have an added D. I have this position. So I don't play anything on the B string in this position. So on the B string, on the second string, you find an X. So these are the three different signs, these two kinds of brackets and this X, so that you know what's written there. So that's like in the legend. You have to. That's important to know. Okay, the next area is like in the first row. It's like, and also optional is. Optional is the octave, the high, the root. And then the last one is the 12th position, or like in this area, not really a strict position. Oops. I mean, now I play it really as a strict 12th position, but I can also play this alternate fingering. It's going like this. Oh, sorry. Or it's a bit difficult here, this whole thing, so it's easier, a bit easier to play like this. But at the same time, this note seems to be a little, this fingering seems to be a little bit out of view, so this is easier maybe to remember. So there are a lot of different aspects how you choose which fingerings you take for these 5 areas. So I hope you understood this, and the numbers in the first row of the whole fretboard, the numbers 1 + 3, 2 + 2, and so on. These I will explain very soon here. But the next point is 1 note per string. 1 note per string means I take, for example, this note here, the D, and for every next note in this 4-note structure, I go to the next string. So D, B, D, G, A, B flat, D, G. And keep in mind, maybe this makes no sense for you. Keep in mind that we really wanna learn these 4-note structures from every possible way, in every possible way. At least we want to practice for some time. We want to practice that we get really more free with these structures, and we are not locked in a certain kind of a position or area, and we just play them up and down. No, we want to really make music, and making music means we have to be not too much restricted also. I mean, if you do a slide, you're already out of the position, and these are different ways to play them and to practice them. And the interesting thing with 1 note per string, you always have these close position 4-note structures. So if I have this is actually like a you have this, and this is of course not very good to play in the next alternate, but for example this, you see, okay, this is already a 4-part structure close position voicing, and this we will cover in the next lesson. But by playing 1 note per string, and then from the next, and from the next, from the next, you have 4 different positions, of course, because you have 4 starting notes on the low E string, and then like the areas or positions, it starts all over 1 octave higher. By playing them, by practicing them, you also, in a way, you practice the different close position 4-part structures, and you can think about it, maybe like most of them in this case are not really playable so well. I mean, maybe this one. Yes, this comes also from this position. Okay, but it's just one thing to force you to think and to be really very conscious about what you're doing. That's also a great exercise. Okay, and of these 1 note per string, as I said, we have 4 different positions, 4 different ways, 4 different starting notes. Then we have 2 + 2 pattern. And this I never read anywhere else, but this is also a great system. And the idea, instead of just playing one note per string, you take 2 notes per string and then again 2 notes. That way you have 4 notes. So you do that. And the interesting thing about that pattern will just repeat on the next 2 strings, 2 frets higher. And then again 3 frets higher. So you can also a way of playing these arpeggios, and some of them are really really working very well. For example, I like this one very much, like 2+2 pattern starting from A. In this case, you have A, B flat, D, G, A, B flat, G, B, D, D, G, and the same again. So you have. For example, you can play these. It's also called like sheets of sound. It's a term they had for the music of John Coltrane, to have like very quick movements, which are more like a sound. You can say they're so quick in a way. And so by checking all these different 4-note structures to 2+2 patterns, you find out which ones are actually playable like that. And also in this case, very playable is 1+3, and you start from the 5th. So you have this one, and remember the first number of these patterns. And this refers actually that's for these 3 points here, for these 3 categories: 2+2, 1+3, or 3+1, 0+4, or 4+0. That always equals 4 notes, and it's always the first number refers to the low E string, 6th string, and the second number refers to the A string. So if I have 1+3, I have, for example, 1, and then the next string 3. So yeah, it's always the same shape, you can say, on each of these 3 pairs of string: 6-5, 4-3, 2-1. And a nice way is this 1+3 from the 5th. It's like. You have these possibilities. Okay, and 0+4 is really not, in this case, it doesn't make really sense, because it means 0 open string, E string not, and then 4 notes on the A string, and then again, and then that's not really useful. I don't find any way where this is any musical situation where it's really useful, this thing. But it's very useful for these other maybe stranger 4-note structures, especially like a chromatic triad plus a major second. Yeah? If I have this one, of course it makes a lot of sense to play it like this. That's an easy fingering arpeggio for this structure. This was 4+2, 4 notes. 4+0, 4 notes, 0 notes, 4 notes, 0 notes, 4 notes, 0 notes. So the other way around would be 0, 4, 0, 4, 0, 4. That's the other pattern. Okay, and for each you have like 4 different ways. You have 4 different starting notes for 2 plus 2. You have 4 different starting notes for 1 plus 4 to 3, or 4 possibilities for 3 plus 1, 4 possibilities for 4 plus 0, and 0 plus 4 also 4. Because you have 4 notes always to start on the low E string. Alright, the last are not that strict, you can say. It's whole range. Whole range is around 2 or 3 notes. Mostly like 2 notes, and then maybe on one string you play 3 notes. Then you reach the whole range of the guitar. So for example, if I start from G here, and I play 2 notes, then I have to go to the next string, 2 notes, B flat D, and then again G A, so it's also a 2 plus 2 version here, and then again 3, 2, and then again, oh actually I was wrong, I just told you the thing for if I use like 3 note structures, but in this case you have to have a mix of 3 and 2. I mean, for example, this. I mean, this was already the next like combination. I mean, everything else is just a combination of the first groups. So I can start with this. This is like a 3rd position. Then I go to the next, and this is like 5th position. And if I do this, it's actually like a 3 plus 1. Pattern, so it's it's a certain kind of position of the 12th position. It's of course because everything is in a way in one of these 12 position. That's always a combination, you can say, if you change your hand position in a way. So in this case, combination means like any other possible ways. I mean, you can play like. With open strings and example, I mean, there are a lot of possibilities, and the more you practice them, the more you also use them, the more you get familiar with them, and the more flexible and more free you will get with them, of course. And as I told you, in lesson 5 and 6 we will really practice making music with them. And then it becomes more and more, also it makes more and more sense to do these different pathways here. Okay, so whole range, let's try again one, like 2 notes or 3 notes, then 2 notes, then 3 notes, then 2 notes, then 2 notes, and then 3 notes, for example. So you see, I reach, I mean, depends of course how long your fretboard is, but I reach my highest notes if I start from the lowest by just making combinations of 3 or 2 notes per string. But as I said, this is not really so strict. It's actually a very good exercise. Maybe you should also work on this till next week. I think also Pat Metheny has this exercise. I think I read this somewhere in an interview or something. That like playing a certain arpeggio, a certain chord form, and always go from the lowest till the highest note, but always try different fingerings. So for example, you can. practice these other ones, the more free you get with them. So you can just yeah, I hope this doesn't really sound too technical. You can really make music with this, and I show you later in lesson, especially in lesson 6, how. Okay, that was it for today. I hope you liked this lesson, and please don't forget to subscribe if you liked it, of course. And you can also go to my website, guitar-academia.com. There's a button where you can support me, you can donate. This would be really cool to go on here with this whole this lesson format here on YouTube and get your support. And also downloading a PDF supports me, of course. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. My name is Hilden.